Danny Healy-Rae.
Thank you very much. We're talking about 2, 3 and 4 as well, aren't we?
No, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right. 1 to 3, all right. Well, first of all, in relation to the electric cars, and I've always said this, Minister, people out there, the general public, are not fools. And when the electric car will be reliable, and when it will be affordable, and when it will be a realistic option, people will buy them. I've no doubt about that. Diesel is reliable, petrol cars are reliable to take you the distance, and it's about getting people from A to B, and especially people in rural Ireland. They have longer journeys to travel, Minister, and they depend on a reliable car, and they need if and when we will have infrastructure that's sufficient and adequate to provide the service that people need. They need a fast way of charging the car, and they need plenty of this infrastructure to charge cars, and that's not available at the minute. And trying to force people, or trying to say to people today, you won't be able to buy a diesel car or a petrol car after such a date, 2030 or whenever it is. That's wrong, Minister. And rather, you should be incentivising people by providing the infrastructure for electric cars, and of course, he must have be able to reassure people that he will have the electricity at a certain time to run these electric cars. Because when the electricity goes out, everything goes out, and the charges will go out as well. So, Minister, you have to take that into account, and not to be forcing people, and not to be forced by the Greens in making you do these things in a hurry. Because, as I said to you, Minister, when people realise and be sure that the electric car is equal to the cars that are there at the present time, that they can bring you to Dublin from Cashdown-Bear or from Dingle or from Valentia Island, and that we won't be stopped 2 or 3 times along the way if we're coming up to see someone in hospital or for some serious appointment. An electric car is not an option for those kind of people at the present time until a lot of radical changes are made. And right, they might be fine for running around at the minute, for bringing children to school on short journeys or city driving or whatever, and where the mileage isn't big. They're probably an option for those people, all right. And that's fine. I have nothing against electric cars. But like I said, we must have electricity too, to ensure that that people are brought and carried to where they want to go. I suppose I want to talk about the increases, the diesel and petrol increases that they bring on the 1st of June, the 1st of September and the 31st of October. I regret and resent this very much, Minister, and if we add up what we're told they're going to amount over the 3 times that they're going to be raised, is actually more than the reductions that were given in the height of the time when fuel went so dear, and that he were forced into the situation that he had to reduce them. And now I resent that they're being put up again, especially for the people that are out early in the morning, in rural places that have no way of going to work without using a car. They're going long journeys now from rural places like I said, Castlemaine, Guinea, Gwilliff, wherever it is, Scotland, Brosnan, wherever you're going, you can move around to come into the centres of Tralee or Killarney or Lishdole or whatever without a car, and a good car and an efficient car, and people will always need cars in rural areas, because public transport is not adequate to bring people everywhere they want to go. The central bank will run a public transport system to cater for all the people in rural Kerry, not to mind the rest of the country. I have to say as well, hauliers are going to be impacted by these raises again, Minister, because as we know, Minister, the cost of it is still very exorbitant with carbon tax, and I think when he was talking about carbon tax, when a litre of petrol was 120, it was bad enough then, but putting on the increase as a percentage now is very unfair, and it's very wrong. And when we're talking about climate change and stopping people from burning a few sods of turf on the fire, it galls me and it galls many people to think, when you see these rockets hitting for the moon or where Jupiter or wherever it is, and when they lift out of the ground, there's a flame a mile long out of them, and we're stopped. We're supposed not to, we're made feel guilty about burning a few sods of turf on the fire, like we've done for generations. I can going back to Danny in Kilgarvan. He's 7 generations back from me. He was cutting turf at that time to keep his house warm, and then as well, there's little talk, all the impact that we're supposed to have on our climate, and at the same time there's no mention in the world about the environmental effect that Putin is having in the atmosphere with the bombs that he's shelling Ukraine with. Surely we must take everything in context, ministers. When we're hurting our own people and depriving them of keeping themselves warm and hurting them by the means that they're going to work, by charging for the fuel and putting taxes on it to tax them out of it, is very wrong, ministers, and I feel very much for the people that I'm representing in rural Kerry.